So, we got the move, but is there more?
Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let.
Well, welcome back to Crown's Crypto Cave. It is a very early Thursday morning over here from an overcast Helsinki, Finland. Although I've been up since 4 a.m. because this place, for whatever reason, gets sun here at 4 a.m. It's just insane, and soon enough, it's actually gonna be sunny all goddamn day. I can't stand it. It's literally the worst for me. But you don't care about that. Let's talk about some goddamn magic internet money business, because that's what's going on right now. When I left you off yesterday, we were trading at around 7,800. When I woke up this morning, Bitcoin trading to a tippy top at 9,300. So the question begs is there more to this run right here? So we'll get into that in just a bit here. It's also a very pivotal day as well, because it is the last day of the month of April. So before we get into May, I do want to postulate and I do want to really focus on all of the higher term timeframes. And with that said, let's put the focus on the Crown Chain application over here, which we do see the open interest spiking up a little bit above that $700 million mark, which is very important because that is what we're kind of looking to further confirm this next sort of phase of Bitcoin price action. We'll get into just a little bit later. More importantly, or sorry, maybe just as important perhaps, is the Bitcoin dominance also spiking up a little bit. I know that yesterday it's saying that it was 64.96. Realistically, that was updated, in the interim while it was moving. So for the last couple of weeks, it's been hanging around 63.5 to 64%. So now we are seeing a change in behavior there as well. So I do think that taking a short look at the Bitcoin dominance perhaps worthwhile, as we're going to see alts get hurt versus the Bitcoin pairings in the short-term timeframes at the very least. Does that carry on over into the USD pairs? Probably not. But as far as trading for Satoshis, well, does offer up an interesting dynamic. All the other top end metrics, as you'd imagine, after a more than $1,000 rally, are obviously green as well. And we do see that the fear and greed index acting as we were kind of postulating for the last couple months, as this really being one of the more bullish things, to be fair, because Bitcoin doubling off the lows while the market was extremely fearful is kind of by definition climbing that good old wall of worry. So we'll tie that into the analysis today with a clear focus on the higher term timeframes. But I suppose at the beginning, it might be best to talk about, well, no, let's actually talk about the high term timeframes to begin with. So let's get into it right on over here. Starting off with the monthly on Stamp, and Bitcoin's going to have a chance to close above all major moving averages here. Bitcoin's already taken out last month's high, so all of the dump that we saw from March, going from literally 92.19.13 all the way down to 38.50, is bought on up the next fucking month, and we're going to actually even have a chance to close on a new high on top of that, which is just incredible. Here's the thing: the monthly is right at a very critical level, as you can see. If you can probably just visualize a trend line right there, because it's almost done for you by the green kind of dotted line right there. But I will get to pull up a fresh new chart and just put it right here. And any sort of a monthly close above this level, 93.50 we'll call it, and I would be looking for the next couple months or perhaps even just the next month of May to work its way back up to the $10,500 to $11,000 region right here, just going from monthly support to monthly resistance, or vice versa essentially. And to me, that is a big deal. Now, does that mean that Bitcoin can't have pullbacks in the interim? No, of course not. And I actually do think that it will be pulling back, probably to start off May, maybe test one of these major moving averages, perhaps as far down as the 21, which is currently at 7,500, and certainly, and very likely, in my opinion, at the very least, down to the 10 simple, which is currently hanging around 8,500 to 8,600ish region. So I will be kind of talking about what sort of is going to delineate that sort of pullback process for myself. I'll also be talking about my options trades from yesterday, as I do want to update on that. So yesterday, I did say that was one of the very few times that I actually do buy premium, and I've been saying it for like the last few days of this week. Whether you're bullish or bearish, this is one of the few times that I actually do care to actually buy premium. And the reason why is because volatility was so low on some of our higher term timeframes. That's what was kind of fueling the idea that we're going to see a $1,000 plus move relatively soon, as I was saying in the last few days. Now, of course, direction, I was kind of positioned more to the downside earlier on in the week, but just kind of dancing in and out around positions and using options in a little bit of a clever way, was able to essentially, well, not really have to deal with any sort of losses, or maybe a small loss somewhere right around here. I do believe I took one because I was trading spot just straight up. But after that, buying a few spreads, and at the exact right time, I do believe. So while I was wrong in direction earlier this week, I do think that, well, at the end of the day, switching around to the winning side at the exact end is, well, that's what it is to be a fucking trader. And it looks like Bitcoin might even be making a new high as we speak. I think the high of this morning is again, where is it? I'm on Finex right now, which is different than the exchanges. But the high for Finex is 92.69 spot 2, currently trading at 92.53 spot 2 in the current moment in time. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the reason why I did that is because historical volatility percentile was coming to a 2-month long conclusion, 2-month long contraction phase over here. Now we are seeing the big spike up. As you can see, this was absolutely just textbook. And the reason why I put on that trade, which was essentially just I bought a straddle and spread it out, reduce the cost, and then covered a little bit in the upper 8,000s yesterday. I was just like, man, this is getting a little bit euphoric. Looks like I was wrong about that because Bitcoin then boosts on another like $500 to 9,300 when I wake up. But at the end of the day, I do like these levels from a long-term perspective because at the end of the day, I'm a trader, not a hodler, not a moon boy. Although I do have some Bitcoin that I do hodl, no matter which I think does kind of get rid of that good old FOMO drug. But as it is right now, we do see that Bitcoin's kind of right at not only monthly resistance but also daily resistance as well, coming in from this last sort of spike high in early March, as we said, right around about 9150 to 9200ish region. So I do think that Bitcoin probably is looking at a pullback relatively soon in the short-term time frames. However, pullback targets I don't think are too easy to get from the low term timeframes right here. This is actually the time to be looking at the high term timeframes. Let me go back to the monthly. And like I said, coming into the month of May, I do believe at the very least we will test back down to the 10 simple, which should be hanging around about 8550ish region. And if things get a little more crazy, I would be looking for a move all the way back down to the 7500ish region, as that's where the yellow 21x benchmark average is. Now this is all coming with the assumption that Bitcoin does close, around here or above, anywhere above 8550ish region by end of day. So that's a long time in cryptocurrency land. I think that's we can probably shore that up with the lower term timeframes a little bit better. But as it is right now, this is very interesting price action. The reason being because if you remember, the reverse Stochastic indicator cross on the monthly will cross back up to the upside with any sort of monthly deal to close above 85, or sorry, not even 8550, but 8450, $100 lower than where the 10 simple is currently hanging out right now. So that means that these babies will actually reject the bearish control zone and cross back to the upside, which to me is pretty damn powerful. And we'll also see the monthly RSI actually cross back above the exponential as well. Now, neither of these is like the best way to do things, in my opinion, by themselves, but I want to see them in confluence with everything else, which you can imagine that if we see the momentum oscillators start to turn back up, plus Bitcoin closing, if it closes above 9,300 or 9,350, whatever this level is right here, which is, I guess, what's our closing? 93.30 it looks like on Stamp. That's going to obviously be a major turning point for the macro, because it will set up Bitcoin to retest around $11,000. And at that point, this just looks very, very bullish long term. Of course, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be pullbacks or anything like that. Yes, of course there will be. There's going to be nasty downs and nasty ups, just as with any market. I'm sure that anyone who's been in this one for at least a year or longer now has seen plenty of this. I mean, shit, man, you've probably seen Bitcoin go from 3,000 to 14,000, back down to 6,000, up to 10,000, down to 4,000, back up to 9,000. I mean, this is just, this is a wild ride right now, and it's great. I absolutely love it. And that is the beauty of trading an asset like this, just giving you opportunity all the way around. So with that said, I would say I do think that Bitcoin, while it does have maybe a little bit more upside here in the short-term timeframes, I do believe that we are getting close to a local top for the short and medium-term timeframes, and Bitcoin will play out a consolidation back down to the mid-8,000s, probably in early May, I'd say. But looking at this right here, I do want to kind of chart out the low-term timeframe ranges just to make sure that we are on the same page with the low term timeframes and the high term timeframes. And let's go. Well, I need a fresh chart right here, actually, just to make sure. Okay, this level right here, obviously relevant to the daily and monthly, actually. So they're actually coinciding with each other perfectly. So I would say the most obvious thing is that if Bitcoin does close this monthly, which closes tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, anywhere above, let's call it 93.50, I would be looking for I would be looking for the month. I would be looking for the month of May to work its way back up into the 5 digits at the very least. But what does that mean for the short term? How is that going to shape up? Well, I think it's a little bit difficult here. This is still looking like continuation, to be fair. I'm not seeing anything resembling divergences, even on a 4-hour at this point. So realistically, does this have more to go in the short term? I think it could very well. I don't really see I don't really see anything signaling that even like the short term is losing momentum here, except for the hourly. So the hourly is printing potentially some divergence. So if that does play out, I would look for a quick move back down to about 8750-ish region. But that's actually very easy to judge right here because we actually have not confirmed a local top as it stands. We will confirm a local top on this price action if and only if Bitcoin comes back down below the current wick low of this hourly delta, which is currently at 9030-ish region. So if that does happen, I would look for extension down to wherever the 21 exponential moving average is trading. I would imagine it's probably going to work its way up to about 8800 in just a few hours here. But that's just the hourly. I wouldn't really look for an hourly to revert like all other time frames trends. So let's look at a 2-hour. Is there any sort of divergence here working on as well? Yes, potentially, but again, same sort of metric. Has to close like this as a hangman and then take out the low of it, and then we can confirm a local high, and then I would extend targets down to like the the upper end, like anywhere between about 85 and 8700 on that time frame. It's going to depend when that does happen, though. Of course, if we go to the 3-hour, do we see anything obvious here? It's going to be working on divergence as well, but nothing resembling a local high. So even then, it's just not even relevant for the short terms as it is right now. I'm not saying that can't change. Of course it can, and I would be looking for a move back down into the mid 8000s sometime early this next month. But for right now, as far as the short-term timeframes go, it looks like we might get another spike higher. So let's go look at upside resistances from the long term, as right now the short-term timeframes are not going to really be helping with that, and a few stand out to me right here of particular interest, right around 9600-ish region. If we chart out the next few, well, let's actually see if that lines up with our long-term downtrend coming in from our last $14,000 high. And what do you know, it actually does. So we have a horizontal meeting up with a diagonal, which is typically the ones that I typically do like. I don't really care for diagonals alongside their own, but I do like it when they match up with something that I can put a little bit more weight on, which is the horizontal. So that adds efficacy, that adds legitimacy to it. And I would say that anywhere between about 9600 to 9700-ish region is where I'd be looking for if Bitcoin does have another leg up. So how would I judge another leg up being gained? Well, it's not necessarily that I'm looking to like long in this region right here, but I would be looking for if I've held my longs, which I've not held my long exposure. I did let go of my spreads, and I'm pretty much neutral now. But even actually a little bit angled to the downside right here, although it's pretty inconsequential deltas right now. But as it stands right now, I would say that this is the next sort of area that I'll be looking for the short term if Bitcoin does spike up again above its current high. However, that is making a big assumption. So I during these times when Bitcoin or just any asset for that matter is moving extremely aggressively and extremely violently, it's difficult to call a top in advance. I typically like to look for divergences on formidable timeframes. At the very least, in this case, a 4-hour. Anything less than that is just relevant to the very, 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 very short term, which, when you talk about that, is it relevant? Yes. And you can definitely trade it. Yes, absolutely. But when making videos like this, it's like that message it self-destructs after a few hours after the video is posted, right? It's just not relevant for that long. So, if you're using a 4 hour, it's going to be relevant for at least like a day or two, perhaps. Which I think is like a good buffer zone because I do these videos every day, so why not? Anyways, looking at do we see anything from Stokes on these lower term timeframes? We even see hourly Stokes still up, so fair enough. Buy hourly Stokes up, triple hourly Stokes up, 4 hourly Stokes are going to be up. Everything's going to be up, but I'm curious when these babies turn back down, and I imagine it's probably going to be at the low of wherever this dildo is. Again, 90.30 it looks like on my screen. So let's see where the reverse Stoke indicator cross shows, and yeah, 90.80 on the 4 hour. We cross back down. On the 3 hour, the 91.70 actually on the 3 hour crosses back down. On the buy hourly, 90.30, perfect right there, because that's actually the time frame that I'd be using for that kind of to decide on a short-term local high, and hourly showing 91.70ish region as well. So a little bit bifurcated there, but anywhere between about 90.50 and 91.50 is where it starts to potentially lose a little bit of momentum in the short term, which would very likely catalyze that move back down to test around 87, 8800ish region down around here, which let's actually chart out now just to make sure that this is nice and orderly, and I want to see if it lines up with anything on the higher term timeframes. So obviously this area right here, nice little breakout out of that base. We have this area right here coming in right around 8700ish region, and then if things really get crazy, which I don't really think that that's gonna be happening today, but perhaps later it's gonna be relevant. Down around 8350 is where I'll be where I'd have some eyes on as well. So for right now, Bitcoin's still trending, obviously. I mean, there's no real reason to fight the trend here, but I would be looking at anything sort of to delineate a loss of momentum in the short-term timeframes. Can that carry on over into the higher-term timeframes? Yes, absolutely, but one before the next, of course. And if we go over here to the 12-hour, I'm curious where these babies start to cross back down as well. The 12-hour Stokes will be crossing back down with any sort of a 12-hour dildo close below 92.40. So this indicator has been so fucking clutch for myself because it's kept me out of especially bad trades this past week, even though I did try some shorts in this region right here, which I quickly covered, which again does produce a loss, obviously, but overall, as I started to get a little bit more bullish in this region right here, as Bitcoin kind of ground up against the highs, this was telling us that, hey, unless if Bitcoin closes below basically every level that we moved up for the last few days, you really can't get bearish. And more importantly, the big bad bearish move can't be had as long as Bitcoin was riding that bottom side support trend line coming in from our March 13th lows. So I just want to talk a little bit about that because I'm sure some people out there are going to be like very, very like, Crown, fuck you, you're wrong, you're terrible, and you have some legitimacy to do that, but understand that I'm coming at this from the perspective as a trader, right? So it's always an interplay between triggering point and then idea being validated, I suppose. And at the end of the day, as long as this trend line was holding right here, there was never going to be a long-term downtrend trade. It was always postulated. Yes, I was looking at the 2-day dildo death cross and everything, and obviously that's not going to be playing out. But what I do want to say about this is that sort of just very simplistic type of technical analysis keeps me out of those bad situations, even though, longer term, I do expect those to play out in my favor. So in this case right here, having this as a very nice actionable point, that's what helps put a tangible execution point on a technical analysis idea. So as long as this one held, you really can't play it bearish, obviously in hindsight as well. But more importantly, now that we've seen the expansion in historical volatility percentile on our 12-hour time frame and by extension all other time frames come to the upside, I would expect this to likely reach higher over time. While a short-term pullback probably does happen early in May, maybe back down to as much as 7,500, although I think even that's a little bit of a stretch right now, but I do think 8,500 is quite likely. I do believe that that's going to be probably a long-term buy. Again, if I'm playing the long term. However, for perspective here, it is still relevant to remember that the last high that we have on a weekly schedule was 10,100. But what's more relevant right now with the monthly closing today, which is a higher time frame, obviously, or the weekly closing on Sunday? Well, obviously the monthly. And what does the monthly say? The monthly says while we do have a little bit of a weird formation going on right here, we actually will have a chance to close above the last local high that we put in right around about 9,300. So any sort of a monthly close above 9,300 is mega bullish long term. Again, that does not mean Bitcoin cannot come back down in the next month or two. I do think it actually will come back down somewhere around this region here. However, it's for myself with the new biases for the long term macro, I would be a buyer of that, and that's actually where I'm interested in, like, very, very long term positions. So a little bit of patience here will likely serve well, but things are looking more or less good. I don't think that Bitcoin's just spiking up here to take out last month's high just to come back down and close the month below 7,500. If that were to happen, though, obviously it changes around everything. I don't think that's what we're doing here, but do have to cover all the bases, because at the end of the day, it is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin does all sorts of weird things, all sorts of crazy things, perhaps better said. So with that said, I'm curious. I didn't even look at the daily or the 2-day, but the daily, daily is literally above our last spike high, which is amazing. And is this consistent amongst all major exchanges? Yep. On Stamp, yes. On Finex, yes. On GDAX, and I think I already checked on Mexico. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So on all major exchanges, we do have a new high above that. So I think it would be safe to say that realistically, the medium and long-term direction is still going to be the upside. Short-term downs likely do get bought on up, and I really wouldn't be looking for Bitcoin to, if Bitcoin came back down to 7,500, that would be a gift. And longer term, I do think that. I don't even know if it'd actually be coming back down there. But then again, I don't really want to get too ahead of myself right now. I think it's actually a really good idea to check out traditional markets, because traditional markets have been giving the right direction. And while I've been not necessarily the most bullish on Bitcoin, I have been bullish on traditional markets. And of course, they do trade together. And what do you know? NASDAQ hitting our top side targets in the short term, I believe, or did it? No. It did not hit our short term targets. Well, it did hit our short term targets, but it didn't hit this target from this right. Not right shoulder, although it is a right shoulder. We'll get to that in a second. But this ascending triangle right in over here, having a measure move all the way up to about 9,350 to 9,400-ish region in this nice little block right here. So that has been initiated, as we did get a nice girthy daily little closure. We didn't even really need that. We needed an hourly above this range right here, which happened in the early morning hours, so that this was likely to move to the upside. It did. We got this one pretty damn well, given the spike down here, and then boom, up. And I think that that's going to be continuing onwards and upwards. Is it going to have a pullback? Yes, probably does short term. Maybe back down to like 9,000 overall. But I would look for that to get bought on up. And as long as this baby is closing hourlies above 8,900, I am medium and long term bullish, and even short term bullish. Although short term, is going to oscillate here and there. Now for the macro, we do see that this is one massive inverted head and shoulders. The shape and size of it are correct. The volume signature on it is also proper as well. We even have a good moving average fake out right here with the death cross being hinted at, and then at the very last second being reverted. Same sort of logic applies as I've spoken about in Bitcoin, and big massive move up right in after that. So technically speaking, the measure move on that would actually be pointed us towards massive new highs. In fact, 11,000 on NASDAQ futures. I think that that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Maybe close above this area first, but I do feel quite confident that it, at the very least, will test that 9,350 to 9,400-ish level, and tech's basically holding this market up. So for all the people, hedging their bitcoins, hedging their stock market with their bitcoins. Well, if you hedged your stock market positions with Bitcoin, you'd be breaking even, or maybe even at a little bit of a loss. So at the end of the day, do they move together? I think that idea is still very much validated. I've said a lot on that on my Twitter thread. So if you want like the deep and dirty into that, just go check it out right on over there. I don't think it's worth repeating right now, because I've done it too many times and it takes too long to really do in depth, of course. But a strong stock market is good for Bitcoin, is what we've seen, and we see that continuing right here. Let's go check out E-mini futures alongside the same way, getting a pretty damn good close yesterday as well. I do think that this one's setting up for a move short term up to 3,000, so that's going to be $300 on SPY itself. I don't know why I have this chart still in here. This looks wrong. Let's see. Let's take these off, or maybe I'll zoom in on SPY. Oh, well, whatever. We can do this very, 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 very easily and simply. And I think NASDAQ is actually the easier chart to trade right now. SPY is a little bit more off center, a little bit more off kilter, but getting a good closure yesterday nonetheless. I do think that short term heading back up to about 3,000 or 300 on SPY, and in more medium term, probably going to reach up towards the 310 region right here, between 310 and 313-ish region, and then I look for like a short-term pullback, short-term, medium-term pullback from this region right here, probably even a short-term pullback from the 300 level right there. Nice even number as well, and I'm sure that a lot of geniuses are looking to sell that one. Overall, can things change right around this level right here at 313? Yes, absolutely. But I like to wait for price action to get there first and foremost before I really start to decide on that, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself right here. But the monthly is setting up for a pretty damn good closure. Any sort of a monthly closure above 2,900 is going to be interpreted as macro bullish to me. Like I've been saying for the past month or so now, I do think that the low is in here. And while I do think that it could come back down and maybe test around like 240 or 250. I think that would be a massive buy for long term. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do feel a lot more confident on my look on traditional markets rather than Bitcoin. And if I'm looking for more upside on traditional markets, should I be looking for more upside on Bitcoin? Well, history says yes. That would be true. So for all the people talking about the coronavirus and whatnot bringing this baby down, no, I've been against that idea for a while now, and I feel validated in that. So as far as like all this talk about the worst crash, the worst depression since 1929, I think that that's unfounded, and I think that that's hyperbole, and I think that is misguided information. People kind of giving into their emotions, wanting to drum up the fucking emotional fire of being the doomsday prepper, which is we just haven't seen that. We just haven't seen that. I mean, go outside, the fucking world's more or less fine. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Stay at home if it's illegal in your state to stay. That's crazy to me, man. That's fucking crazy to me. Okay, here's something we need to talk about right now. How long is this video? Okay, it's not that long, so I can talk about this. Here's what I want to fucking talk about right now. America, right? America. I grew up in San Francisco, and I was conditioned as a good American. And what the fuck? What the fuck, man? There's states where you literally can't go outside right now. You will get told to go back home. You get treated as a child. Americans typically look at like Sweden or the Nordic countries as like overprotective and authoritarian. What is Sweden doing? They don't tell you to not go outside. What is Finland doing? I mean, there's kind of like guidelines and whatnot, but for the most part, it's business as usual here. Not really anything's closed except for a few restaurants here and there. It's just crazy to me that America's like the home of the free, but what's the country that's on the most lockdown right now? What's the country that has the most arrest per capita? It's just crazy to me. I mean, fuck, like, what's this whole thing with? I was thinking about this the other day, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently because I was only enlightened recently that other countries don't really do this, and it came from this conversation with my girlfriend's parents, who actually don't speak English, so we had to communicate through my girlfriend to translate to her parents, and I was asking them, like, do they remember doing like the Pledge of Allegiance when they were kids? And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And my girlfriend's also like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, well, don't you guys have this? We from elementary school to high school, we would start every day by putting our right hand over our heart and saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and I don't know, it goes on for a little bit, for a few more. It's like, what was that all about, man? It's like, that's kind of crazy. Seems kind of crazy to me. All right, Bitcoin making new highs right now. Let's go back to it right on over here and check out what's going on. Yeah, new hourly high. So it's not even going to have a chance to make divergence there at all. That's going to be completely superseded, it looks like right now. And if it wants to take a leg up to 9,600 to 9,700, I don't see anything wrong with that. However, still, needs to close strongly here. But so far, with 9 minutes to go and 29 seconds in this hourly dildo, looks like it's going to have that chance. So Bitcoin, powerful, girthy green dildos as bulls take this baby higher. And I do think that we probably have another spike up before the actual pullback. You can see the Fibonacci levels actually lining up pretty damn well with former levels, but not being respected realistically at all. I would expect them to be retested over time, but for right now, in the short term, Bitcoin's moving, baby. Now we do see the 886 coming in right around this topside resistance right here. So I would say that this level probably does get respected. I'm going to make a nice little blue box right here. There you go. There you go. Okay, lovely. A nice little $50 range between about $100 range between 96 and 9,700-ish region. I would be looking for a pullback if Bitcoin, at least on the short-term time frames, Bitcoin does head up there, which it's looking rather likely right now. So morning gains getting extended. Powerful. And other than that, I don't really have too much else to add. I'd be looking at traditional markets for overall direction and exhaustion. I would be looking at Bitcoin macro levels for just the monthly. And on top of that, I'll probably postulate my next trade once I get the monthly close. If we do close anywhere above 9,300, I'd be waiting for a little bit of a pullback coming into May, and then probably be entering in for the long term. That's just myself. Of course, as I said, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do like that setup. Again, if Bitcoin can close above about 93, again, where is this level on this exchange? 93.50 today. Anywhere above 93.50 today, I am a mega bull. coming into the next couple of months at least, probably for a retest of about $11,000 and beyond, perhaps, as that's going to really force everything up and really change around the long-term structure. So it's looking good, man. Everyone's happy as well. It's really, really cool when Bitcoin's green because everyone's rich again. So it's, there's no time to be fucking around and causing all sorts of weird emotional dramas on great social media venues, which is what you see typically during downwards markets. Now Bitcoin looking pretty damn good here. So let's go check out the alts as well, just out of curiosity, see how they're doing. Mr. Buteral, this is just fucking hell, man. Fucking hell. If Mr. Buteral closes anywhere above 220 today, I'd be looking for next month or so to pop back up to about $300. Litecoin actually definitely looking like the laggard. I think that this one's going to be running to resistance relatively soon, right around about $58. I'd be looking for a big pullback, likely around there. Let's go check out the Bitcoin dominance as well. I didn't really get a chance to look at this just yet, although it is telling us that we do have something new going on here. Bouncing off this area right here, I do think that alts are going to be getting hurt versus Satoshis. They will very unlikely be able to keep up with Bitcoin versus US dollar. So that doesn't mean that alts are going to not go up versus US dollar. They likely will. If Bitcoin goes up, they're going to get pulled up as well. However, versus Satoshis, when you measure, all shitcoin XYZ versus USD, versus Bitcoin, they're likely to be going down. This is massively bullish long term, I believe here. And looking at the daily, I'd be looking for this pop back up to 6-7%. Even like short term and long term, this just looks like reaccumulation right here. Very, very weird and bizarre formation, but higher low and kind of mapping out its own W formation. So I do think that that's long term good. And even short term good as well. So fair enough. Powerful moves. Is there anything else that I wanted to check out before I leave you off? A nice 30-minute video, making them shorter, getting there. Maybe we'll take a quick look at one of the altcoins. We got Mr. Cardano right here, putting in a lower high. I do think that this one's going to be coming back down towards 500-ish even. Satoshi's somewhere down around there, still kind of hanging on the lows. This is just still, I would still not be very, just with Bitcoin doing what it's doing, I don't see the interest in altcoins right here. What else do we want to talk about? I feel like I'm missing something obvious. Maybe let's go back to Bitcoin just really quick and see what's going on. Even this fucking 4 hour this 4 hour already closed above the last prior high right here. I guess I don't really see anything stopping it from 96 to 9700-ish region. I probably would be looking for a pullback there. And then I want to see how the monthly close is. Does the monthly close above 9,300? Then I'm very much long-term bullish. I do think that we'll get a pullback probably back down around here at the very least, like 8,500-ish to in this little pocket right here. Maybe a little bit more down towards like 75 if things get really crazy, but long-term, looking a lot better there. And definitely going to have me eating my words about the month. I was actually very gung-ho about the monthly closing below the 21. No, it's not going to be happening. So again, waiting for confirmation, still the name of the game, I suppose. And with this setup, this could really change. This could really actually make me a long-term believer here. It's actually looking pretty fucking good. Gonna have a pretty damn good posturing. So what I'll be doing as far as trading goes, to talk a little bit more directly now to the people who are trading options, is right now I'm not interested in trading this region right here. I am right here though. I'll actually buy some put spreads in this region, and I'd like to buy some put spreads right there probably. Very easy to cover as well. Very, 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 very easy to cover. And I do think that, regardless of whether you're going to be right or wrong, selling some premium at that level should be the go-to. Let's see how historical volatility percentile is kind of lining up on the lower term timeframes. Yeah, we are getting a little bit hotter on the 4 hour, but even that's like not that crazy. The 3 hour is not even that crazy as well. The 2 hour is starting to get a little bit crazy, but not, really not. So no, perhaps I'm wrong on that as well. I do think that, I think I'll probably just be waiting for the monthly close and then judging from there. Is there any other higher time frame closing today? Maybe a 2-day? Nope, not closing today. 3-day, not closing today either. All this more or less looks good. I think that we will be testing that higher level probably sooner rather than later, in the short-term timeframes, and then probably pull back somewhere around there. I think I said yesterday that I was going to be looking for a pullback at about 84, 8,500 on the short term. We did get, technically speaking, we did get a little bit of a short term pullback there, but after that, I did say if we break to the upside, we will likely head up towards 95, 9,600-ish region, and I suppose that's still more or less the same for me. Let's go. I feel like I'm missing something in low term timeframes. Even here on like a 30-minute, we don't really see any divergences being made. It's going to be creating some for sure, but we need to confirm a local high here. So until a local high gets confirmed, I just don't really have any reason to be looking for even short-term downside more than just a couple $100. And now that Bitcoin's really moving, I don't think that's a couple $100 is not really what you're trading for right here. But yeah, if Bitcoin does take out the last hourly low on on a wick basis at 90.35.5 on Mexico, then yeah, I'd be looking for a move back down to like 87, 8,800-ish region, and then reassess from there. But with all of that said, I think it's time for me to sign off, baby. I think it's time for me to sign off. I might be on Twitch later today. Like I said, this fucking sun coming up at 4 a.m. is just not good for me. It's just the worst. I feel sick. Oh, I forgot to check out CMEs. That's right. Okay, that's what I was forgetting. CMEs. All right, what's CMEs doing? Oh no, the gap. No, just kidding. Gap means nothing right here. And hasn't meant anything, I don't think. As far as the macro goes, I still have these levels kind of plotted out, and I'm showing 9750 to 9900 as the next major area, also correlated with the 886 fib from the last high to the last low that we see on the macro scale. So we'll see if we actually do hit that area, but I would be looking for a pullback from this area nonetheless. Should be meeting up with our long-term trend line coming in from our $14,000 high right here. And what do you know, right there, smack dab in the middle of the blue box. I like that area for a short-term, medium-term pullback if Bitcoin does hit it. Other than that, I think it's time for me to sign off. I'm wishing you well once again. Take care, and until next time.